Geffri Maya, Miss Girl with a Boy's Name. Thank you for pulling up. How do you prefer to be addressed publicly?
To be honest with you, my mom calls me Maya more than she calls me Jeff. So it's just kind of like, it's really like my people, y'all can call me Jeff, but it doesn't really matter to me as long as it's my name and nothing more. But like,
Yeah, I'll be calling you Geffri Maya. Yeah.
When do you do that?
I always do that.
You don't do it in front of me.
I do too.
Well, don't do that.
Okay. I don't be like Geffri Maya. I always do that.
The names that I've heard, especially like just as kids.
Kids is wrong.
Kids in the 90s, they were a different. I'm sure kids now are just like
Brutal.
I don't know, but kids in the 90s were very, very mean because my name was so different. To the point where, like, I told my mom one time I wanted to change my name because I just didn't want to be teased about it anymore.
Right.
And then I feel like I didn't love my name until maybe like around my teen years when I kind of just like, I just owned who I was and what was attached to the name, So it's kind of just like.
What is attached to it?
So many things. But,
I mean, you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just saying so many things in the sense of like, I'm constantly evolving as a person. So it's like, that's a long list of like what has stayed, what has gone, what, I'm tweaking or like, what I'm exploring within myself and just like, life and living. But it's a lot that's attached to my name. But things that I'm proud of, things that I feel like will make an impact, things that hold weight with legacy, that's what I'm more so pouring into in this time right now.
Are you named after anyone specific or is it?
No.
Oh, they just, okay.
Yeah,
They're like, we gonna
My
name you
mom
Jeff.
was just, yeah.
She knew that your path was gonna be special, so she needed to make sure everything about it was special. So ain't nothing wrong with that. Thank you for coming to Paths Podcast.
Appreciate you.
Of course, guys.
Yeah, most definitely. So where does your path begin? Where are you born? Where are you from?
Well, you want the year I was born?
I mean, I said, where are you born?
Oh, I thought you said what year. I'm like, dang. No,
Tell everybody your social security though.
Right, a couple numbers.
45, 47.
5551. No, I was born and raised in South Central LA, as y'all know.
Yes.
But for those watching who don't know, born and raised in LA. And I feel like majority of the most impactful moments of just my life and what's inspired me to be where I am today started in LA. Grew up with my mother and my grandmother in the forefront in West Adams, historical district here in LA. But yeah, I feel like we often don't think about where we are from, the household that we live in, the city, like what school, like it just impacts everything, how we think, how we move, how we breathe. And, for a long time, not saying I wasn't proud of where I came from, but I struggled a lot with where I came from and then like where I saw myself. So like as I got older, I had to kind of change that narrative a bit and receive where I came from literally is a determining factor of who I am today, which I'm proud of. So it's kind of like, you think about the hardships, you think about the tragedies, you think about the traumas, and we oftentimes, when we're young, of course, we don't really realize the blessing or the seeds that are being planted at that time to kind of like navigate us to be sitting here today and be able to talk about it and be able to sit here and say like, yeah, I'm from South Central LA, born and raised, grew up in the house that I grew up in, with the family that I grew up with the people around me, the love around me. And yeah, I'm happy with where I am.
Did you always know you wanted to be an actress or is it something you discovered later in your age?
I always knew. I was going to say I think, but no, I always knew that my purpose was to inspire and to leave a legacy of just allowing people to be moved. Like, I just feel like that's my purpose now, whether it's through conversation, whether it's through experiences, whether it's through sharing work, whether it's through storytelling. My purpose is to allow someone to leave different than they came, just like I'm inspired by people who allow me to leave different than I came. And that moves me. And I feel like art moves people. Art makes you think. Art is thought-provoking. Art makes you feel. And yeah, I feel like that's what my life is about, to make people feel things.
Walk us through where your path began and how. So when was the first time you caught the bug? When was the first time you got performing? Was it stage, was it music, or was it?
I used to watch a lot of shows growing up. So anything that had children in it. So Barney, Out of the Box. There was a show called Zoom that I loved.
Zuma.
Yes.
I used to love Zoom.
When I tell you for a clock, running home, turning on PBS, and like that's what I miss about just like TV and content. Is just kind of like it was coming from such a pure place, and like teaching kids how to utilize their creativity and to express themselves.
Science projects used to be fire on
Zoom
that show.
would be like, grab some pasta,
Uh-huh.
grab a plastic cup, get some glue and some construction paper. And I'm like, what the fuck I'm about to make with this? Like, I used to love it. Because it was just like, oh my God, like I can do this at home. Like, you know, again, growing up, I didn't grow up with a lot of money. I grew up with a loving family, a mom that worked her ass off, and a grandma who worked even harder. So it was like I had to discover like how to make myself happy, how to make myself joyous. Even like my family, like we had to get creative with how we celebrated life and like enjoyed living.
Right.
And so like shows like that I loved, and I would just look at these kids like I'm trying to kick it with Barney. I'm trying to kick it with Maria and you know these other people that were on Zoom. Maria was my favorite. She had a little bob. She was so cute. But you know, I would watch shows like that and I would just say like I want to be there. I want to go in there. My mom always tells a story. She thinks it's so cute. That I told her like, Mom, like I want to go in there. I want to go in there. She was like, what are you talking about? But I was talking about the TV. Yeah. And so then I kind of got into theater as well, but like dancing and singing, like all the things. So I danced with Debbie Allen at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy when I was like 7.
Out here in LA?
Yeah.
Very cool.
When it first opened, like I remember auditioning. This was back when the radio is still a popping medium, you know what I mean? But like, that's like when the radio was like, you know, during its time, Steve Harvey Morning Show was like announcing, you know, events and things that were going on. And there was this radio announcement that there was going to be auditions for this new dance school. And my mom was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, yeah. So I auditioned. And then from 7 until I was 18, before I was in college, like I was dancing like 40 hours a week, doing plays, doing gala performances.
Wow.
You know, just all types of things that, again, allowed me to creatively and artistically express myself. And that's why I feel like when kids are young, when they tell you things, they mean it until they don't anymore. Because there was a time where I was like, I don't want to do this. Even with acting, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I want to go to college and just live a different type of life. You know, I want to be a different person. But definitely got the bug early. And by the grace of God, my mom listened to me. She supported me. She believed in me. And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that support, that push. Right. And my mom pushed me. She was like, if this is what you want to do, then you have to go to class. You have to train. You have to stretch. You have to, you know, take care of your body. You have to eat well. But it was all from a loving place from, if you believe in it, I believe in you. And that's what I've always been really appreciative for, which is why I feel like I'm still going and I have that confidence because of my mom.
From 7 years old to today, about how many auditions, if you could put a number on, do you think you've been on?
God.
It's a crazy amount, right?
I can tell you how many people said yes before I can tell you how many people said no. Hundreds. Yeah. Hundreds. Like from 7 years old, hundreds. Like, of course.
Right.
It's a lot.
That's what I want the listeners and the viewers to see that, like, it takes a lot.
It does take a lot. But I think that, like, what's so not confusing, but what kind of, like, creates this gray area is that we have social media now. And social media allows people to create their own platforms to where they don't have to wait for someone to say yes or for someone to care. You don't have to wait for someone to financially pour into them. They can literally create their own lanes, which I think is chef's kiss for a lot of people. Right. But from the artistic side, from the side where you have a huge percentage of people who are actors but are not able to work or not able to get told yes too often, you know, it is a grind. It is, you know what I mean? It's a skill. It's a craft, you know? Anyone can get someone to say, hi, how much would you like for this soda? Anyone can say that. But there's a craft to doing it to where it evokes something in you when you're watching it. And I think that the craft of it, I had to learn to love because I didn't always like it for the craft. I thought it was fun at first, you know, when you're little. And then you go away from something and come back stronger, better. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Like I had to literally love it in a different kind of way, in a way that was speaking to my soul, you know? So that's where I'm at now.
Sure. So from all those auditions until right now, and the amount of yeses versus the amount of no's, what do you feel like you learned from the no's?
That's like very weighted. What I'm learning now, thinking back to all the no's, is like sometimes a no is a yes. Most times a no is a yes. A lot of the no's that I've experienced, had I not been told no, I would not be where I am. A lot of the no's you just cannot take personally because it's nothing personal. A lot of the no's are things you can't explain. And sometimes shit just isn't for you. And we have to realize that as creatives, as artists, as performers, like sometimes it's just not yours.
Right.
And a lot of times, like I tell myself, any material that I get or any opportunities that I see that I think I could be a part of, I'm always just like, oh, I could do this. But it's like I could do it because I believe in myself. But that doesn't mean it's mine. That doesn't mean I'm right for it, you know? And I've seen projects and I'm just kind of like, oh, I understand. I understand why it wasn't me. Because the person you picked was absolutely perfect for the role. Or like, not even just about the role, but it's just about timing and alignment. Sometimes you're not ready for the opportunities that you think you're ready for. Or the opportunities that you're praying for. Most times we're not ready for them. And whatever, like for whatever, you know, God says or the universe says, like, but we have to be okay with that. So I feel like once we kind of digest that thought process, that sometimes it was never for you. Most times it was never for you, but sometimes like it does hurt, but you got to be okay with that. You know? So I had to get to that point where it's just kind of like, it's okay to be told no. But there are some days where I'm like, so y'all couldn't tell me why, you know? It was as easy as you could tell me why. But sometimes it's just like, they don't have a reason. It just wasn't yours. You know? Because God said so. It wasn't yours, Jeff. Chill out.
So about those no's, every creative has these moments where they're really, really, really low, right? I'm sure you had those moments. We talked about them. We've both been in that place, right? So what would you say to somebody who's in that place right now? And how are you using like the things that you go through to motivate you for more?
I think that joy and happiness and liveliness and faith, like all these things that are like leading towards like peace, that it's all a choice. And that's sometimes difficult to digest when you have a certain mindset, when you're in a certain situation, when you're just having a bad fucking day. Like sometimes it's hard to really be like, yeah, you're right. Like it is a choice. But for me, I've had to mature into that mindset because it wasn't always that for me. I had a lot of unhealthy ways of coping and dealing with stress or anxiety or depression. And for me now, it's just about choosing happiness. Like I wake up every day focusing on what I can control. And it's really that simple. Like the phrase, it is what it is. Whoever said that is iconic because it just is. This couch is orange. I can't, like, it is what it is. The circumstances that we're in now as artists and performers, there's nothing that we can do except do what we can, support one another, uplift one another, continue to create from a different place of self versus, you know, work, the man, you know. But it's just kind of like, I always believe in choosing me, choosing my faith, choosing God, and just focusing on what I can control. It's really that simple. But I also believe in hobbies. I believe in pushing people to do things that genuinely make them happy. And a lot of times, if you can't say what makes you happy, then you should think about it. I had a friend of mine ask me, like, what do you like to do? And it took me a second to be like, oh, I don't think I really know what I like to do. Because I'm so focused on working. I'm so focused on making money. I'm so focused on sustaining myself. I'm so focused on booking a job. I'm so focused on people like, you know, the whole thing. Especially being in the business. It's like you want to be wanted. You want people to want to support you and believe in what you're doing. But it's like, what do you like, though?
Right.
What do you want? What do you need? And I feel like we also need to take a breath and have time to figure that out and spend time with self. So that's another thing, too. Spend time with yourself. If you're having moments where you're down, it's like, because we're focused on things we can't control. We're focused on things that literally have nothing to do with us most of the time. Again, auditioning. There's a 1 in 1,000% chance that you won't get something.
Right.
So it's kind of just like, well, let me focus on the life that I do have. Let me focus on, you know, things that I can do that make me happy, things that I can do to keep me healthy. Like even working out. I hate working out. But I love the results. And it makes
Yeah.
me happy though. Like I feel good when I feel good.
Right.
You know, when I am good. So yeah, I'm on a tangent, but
No, you're good.
Please
You
let it
good.
flow for
Yeah.
you.
yeah, but that's literally how I feel. It's kind of just like there is no right or, well, there are wrong ways to do certain things, but there's no right way to do something all the time.
Right.
But I think that you have to focus on what's best for you in the healthiest way, in the most positive way, and also therapy too. Talk to people.
I just
Talk to
started.
somebody. Yeah, that's good.
I just started.
I love to hear Black men say that they're going to
Yeah,
therapy.
I just started. I was very happy with the decision because this is my second swing at it.
Yeah.
First swing, I was like, bro, I'm not paying.
Yeah.
And then the second one, I was like, okay, this is actually amazing. I'm glad I'm doing this for sure.
Yeah.
I've known you for quite some time.
It's definitely 10 plus.
Right. It's been a minute, right?
Crazy.
Right. So
That's crazy.
with that,
Getting old.
right? I'm one of
You
the
know,
he is.
it ain't me.
One of the moments that ring off to me the most was I remember scooping you and Taylor. We went and had lunch one day.
Was it here?
It was in LA. We went and had lunch. I think this is like Taylor's first trip to LA.
Was it Thai food?
Yes. Right? Boom. And I remember around that time, you had a table read in your backyard. It was around that time in that era.
Yeah.
I remember shooting your project, whether it was a proof of concept or short. I remember being a part of that. No, but it's okay, right?
Yes.
But right, I remember you being a server, right? And 2 jobs, right? So with all of that,
Oh.
and to see where you are now makes me so goddamn proud.
Thank you.
Right?
Understand.
So damn happy
Thank you.
to see the grind and the work you put in. Because you just said you've been doing that since 7. I met you in adulthood, right? So with that, my question is, with your recent ascension, hot streak, from grinding and doing indie projects and working 2 jobs, yeah, that's a hot. You on fire, girl.
You're on a billboard.
I love
and
Hot
buses,
Street.
billboards,
I
buses.
just seen you on the way over here.
Goddamn ads, all kind of. Anywho,
I just love Hot Street.
what do you feel was the catalyst to that ascension? Like, what are some of the most pertinent decisions you made that have led to this amazing path you're on? Boom, boom.
Screaming. Again, another weighted question.
Heavy, real heavy. It's so heavy. Gucci. Sorry, I was in Atlanta for a couple
Really,
years.
you were.
Wow.
Y'all were that was very nice. It was very coordinated. Honestly, it was like faith.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck is gonna believe in me more than me and my mama? But who gonna believe in me more than me and my mama? Honestly. Like, and I have my days where I'm like, okay, I could be doing more. I have ideas that I could be sharing. I have ideas that I could, be putting forth action in living in and breathe. Like, I could be breathing in a lot of things. But like, you have to have faith in yourself. You just have to. And
No, please.
yeah, I just didn't lose faith or lose sight in what I felt like God was telling me to do.
Yeah.
Literally. And that's the only way I move now. Sometimes things come to me and I'm just like, no, God, I don't want to do that. Or like, I don't want to say no. I don't want to turn this down. I don't want people to think that. But sometimes it's also like, no, I don't want to do this role.
Right.
I don't want to be a part of projects like that.
Right.
This is not where I see myself. I don't want to talk to you. I don't like you,
Right.
And that's just the truth.
Right.
And if you allow like something like Hollywood to dictate who you are, you're done. And I don't let a lot of shit dictate me. I just don't.
Go ahead.
For real, though.
Go ahead, bro. Go
And
ahead.
y'all know me.
That's what I'm about to say.
I don't really play games like that.
Right.
Real quick.
It's
Real
good,
quick.
bro.
I've known Jeff since Clark Atlanta freshman year.
Your freshman year.
My freshman year. Yeah. She always been the same in the best way. And I remember even there was a pivotal point, and it's a footnote, please take over after this one point. And it kind of is the same thing that you just did, just some more flowers for you. We was at Clark, and I was like, because that's just why everybody was moving to LA. And I was like,
Oh,
Remember what
I
I'm talking
know
about?
exactly.
Okay.
I know what you're
Right.
talking about. Exactly.
So I was like,
yeah.
you gonna move? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna take that move because I'm from there. I belong where I'm at. I know that's what I'm gonna do. I know for a fact that this is where I'm supposed to be at. And I think you were one of the most sure people at the time that I was asking questions to. And you proved it in the best way. And it's so much more to do. I'm not even trying to act like, you know what I'm saying? I know how much more is here. And I'm sure, I don't know, maybe you didn't necessarily, I mean, you obviously had faith. You just said that, but.
But just, not to cut you off, but
No,
just
go
I
ahead.
don't want to forget,
Yeah.
to that point, what's crazy though, because I remember vividly this conversation that we had, and I was like, I got to get the fuck. And I did.
Yeah.
But it was the hardest year after that.
Yeah.
I cried every single day when I moved back here. I didn't have any money. I spent all of my money. So, okay, so little backtrack. I was a child actor. So there was a lot of money that I had that my mom put away for me for college, you know, because I was going to go to college. That was always the plan. But I spent all of that. All of it. Blew all of it. So I had no money. On top of that, because I moved when I did, because I had a meeting with a manager, she was like, are you going to fly back and forth to audition in LA come pilot season? And I was like, no, I can't afford that. Moved back to LA. Didn't have anyone to cover my lease. So I was still paying my lease for my apartment. So when I said I didn't have money, it was because it was going to a place I wasn't even staying in. Then I was auditioning and like trying to get back in the swing of things. Casting director was saying awful things about me. That and again, I had never been on like a general to get an agent before. So like meeting different people, I never had to do that as a child actor because I got discovered in a sense by agents when I was performing. So to have to sit down with people and like literally kind of perform and not perform, but like, you get what I'm saying? Like you have to sell yourself. I never had to do that. So to hear the feedback that I got from people, and it was just kind of like, but this is just like me being myself. This is not even me like showing you what you're supposed to want me for. So it was just a really hard year because I was just kind of like putting myself in the ringer in a different kind of way and only having that mustard seed like in my hand, literally. And then it was like I was at home in my family home, my childhood home, which had its own like battles and ebbs and flows. But it was just kind of like, it was different this time to be home. It was so different. But it's crazy because you're like celebrating me for that, where for years, from like 2017, I don't even know when I started like actually actively working. I feel like it was maybe, when did we do that pilot? Like 2019?
That was 2019. January, February 2019.
So those 2 years were just like some of the hardest years of my life because I doubted myself every single day. I cried all the time. I didn't have a car. Like, in my own city.
I feel like
She
that's
just pulled up big on us
what
out
I'm
here,
trying to
by the
tell
way.
you.
You heard?
She did.
She
It was
just pulled
nice.
up in the foreign outside.
hey yo.
Motivation for everybody watching.
That's
You can
why
do
it's a
anything.
celebration, because the reality is you understood the same advice you've given people in this moment who might have been watching. Like, I saw it. I mean, we talked enough to where I understood where that next 2 years was and how it felt to be on that pilot was like already a moment where it was like, yo, this is crazy.
So crazy.
The path from even you landing here to the pilot was tumultuous, but you just said, and like I'm telling you in that conversation, you knew on a spiritual level, even if your mind, your body, your finances were all going through trials and tribulations.
It's crazy.
You got bus stops with your face on it. So
blessing.
what are we talking about? You know, it's Big Jeff.
Not the little one. Nigga sitting outside.
I love it. All right, sorry.
No, so, in the realm of practicality, was there anything you did differently from a cold streak, so to speak, in those 2 years, or the pain or the trials and tribulations or the hurdles or speed bumps you went through in those 2 years? Did you change classes? Did you change reps? Did you change your mindset? Or is there anything that you did differently that's notable that you care to speak on?
I think that me literally picking up my life and just moving to LA, like off the strength of like meeting this manager, who's still with me to this day. you know, my loyalty with my team stems from the fact that they genuinely cared about Geffri Maya, the person, before Geffri Maya, the artist. And I really appreciated that, because Geffri Maya, the person, literally was like, I didn't really have much to give other than my past. And it's like, you know, I was 23 years old, had been acting since I was 7, and I didn't really have a lot of material other than when I was a child, other than when I was on private practice at the time. So it's like they didn't really have much to like shop around and be like, look at my client, she's doing this. It was like I didn't really have much. I graduated college. Like, again, that's great, because I got my degree. That's what I wanted to do. But in Hollywood, they don't care about your degree.
Right.
They trying to see, like, are you gonna sell these box office tickets? Are you, like, what numbers? And then at that time, social media, and y'all know me on social media. I don't be on
she
there.
got 3
Still
posts.
don't.
Still
don't.
don't. I love it.
Still
like,
don't.
bro,
It's no shade. It's just, it's not my thing. Like, social media genuinely gives me anxiety. Like, for real. That's another topic, though. But anyway, and I met my manager. She
Where?
at a party, at a birthday party for like a photographer friend of ours, like a mutual friend. And yeah, she was like, come to my office, come chat with me. And my mom came because she was my manager at the time, period.
Mama J.
For sure.
Mama.
So we were just sitting there, and she was like, you know, I like you. It was straight like that. She was like, I don't need new clients at all, but I like you and I believe in you, and there's something about you that I want to push. I said, period. And running.
She probably said period.
Right. I did. And then my agent, same thing. Like, I met like maybe 6 or 7 agents. No.
Your manager set those meetings up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Met all those agents. They all said no. All had negative things to say about me. All had like just things that were just kind of like, you didn't have to tell me that, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the agent that I have now, we sat, we talked about like politics. We talked about family. We talked about life. Again, when I say politics, I don't like talking about politics. When I say politics, Trump had just like won. So we were just talking about like, you know,
Stuff.
our talks about that nasty man. But we were just talking about that and just, you know, our opinions about like where we grew up and, you know, just life, my family, my dreams, my visions, like, you know, everything. And she told my manager I loved her. Like, she was great. Would love to sit down. And that is what I've always taken with me in this game, is authenticity speaks so much more loudly than people think. And a lot of times when you go into spaces and rooms, being yourself, people remember that. And it might not manifest right away, but people remember how you made them feel. You know what I mean? It's like a fragrance. You always remember when somebody smelled good. Like, oh, like, you know. But truthfully, people remember how you make them feel. And I've always, like, that's always stuck with me. And they made me feel really good about myself at a time where, like, I didn't know how much faith I had in myself. Even though I had faith in God, I didn't know how much faith I had in myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, you know, I had to get a strong team. I had to have a team that believed morally and ethically in the things that I did. And then I also started taking more time to honor myself and what it is that I needed in order to be sane, in order to be at peace. I would go to the museum a lot. Like, I would just listen to music and just, like, look at art. I would go to the Rose Garden, like, at Exposition Park, and just sit and pray, listen to podcasts. I would take the train to work, because I used to work at this restaurant in Culver City. I would take the train to work instead of being driven to work, because I just wanted time to myself, and I wanted time to think, and I wanted time to pray, and I wanted time to manifest. I took my steps, like, literally as I walked. Like, I just believe that every time I took a step and every time I manifested and prayed, I felt like God heard me a little bit more because I was grounded. And I just spent a lot of time with myself and being honest with myself as well. If there were days where I wasn't happy with myself, I would honor that. There were days that I was happy with myself, I would honor that. There were days that I was frustrated, I would honor that. And I would try different things to just allow me to keep pushing, keep moving. And a big thing about that too is when you allow yourself to express and to feel, you just let it go.
Yeah.
You hold on to stuff that weighs you down. I didn't want to be weighed down. I just didn't. I really didn't want to. So I just really focused on my health and, like, my mental health. And I've taken it another notch now, because now I'm in therapy, which by the grace of God, I'm able to afford. A lot of people aren't able to afford it, and I just wish it was more affordable. But there are ways to be able to communicatively and healthily connect with people.
Absolutely.
So that's, like, the big thing for me now too, is just doing what I can, to be honest, and setting boundaries.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to do that as well.
No means no.
Because no means no. Industry, friends,
Later
family.
means later.
Yeah,
Not right now
honestly.
means not right now.
So I had to honor that because I didn't have a lot of time to myself back then. Like, I was hustling, I was working, but I had to develop good habits.
Yeah.
Do you
know?
still train these days?
Yes and no in different ways.
Okay.
I like to watch movies.
Okay.
You know, I could be reading more books. People watching, of course. But training, I do miss the classroom. I don't believe I'm too good ever to learn to train.
What are your favorite acting classes?
The last acting school that I trained at was Identity School of Acting. They have a branch here in LA. They have one in London, of course, like the mothership. But I remember my friend, he's one of my best friends from high school. His name is Zeno Robinson. Voice actor, amazing human being. He's an actor like as well for TV and film, but he's most notably known for voice acting. And I remember we would often talk like, you know, life, but when it came to like taking those next steps to like really elevate and really focus, he sent me the link to the auditions for Identity.
So you had the audition for Identity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I love. So I'm like, period. Like, this is giving like real like acting school,
Right.
like, you know.
Yeah.
And
In person or tape?
in person.
Okay.
In person. This was like pre-COVID.
Okay.
But I remember there was like a fee for the application, and I could not afford the application fee. And he was like, Jeff, if I pay your application fee, will you audition? And I was like,
Wow.
you can't do that. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna let you. He was like, no, like, I want to. Because again, we would talk about this, like, if the school ever came to the States, like,
Right.
oh, what da.
Right.
And it did. And he paid for my application fee.
Wow.
I remember auditioning, and I was so fucking nervous because it was like stuff I had never done before, you know, like they would do like movement stuff and like, you know, doing like exercises, but just exercises that I wasn't really privy to. So I thought it was fun. It was different.
Wow.
It was a lot of body, a lot of voice, you know, things like that. And I remember when I auditioned, they were like, okay, we'll contact you in 2 weeks. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, God, if you allow me to get into the school, like, I promise you, I will go hard. I will be on time. Like, you know, I just wanted to dedicate myself. I was like, God, if you give me the opportunity just to dedicate myself to this, I will do it full throttle. And I got into the school, and it was one of the best experiences I ever had. Like, especially as a mature adult, like, you know, acting. 'Cause again, like, going to an acting class at like 14, 15, which I did, you know, when I was in high school, middle school. It's different. You know, you're around kids, you're having fun, but like to go to a school as an adult, it's like, if I make friends, great. But I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to plant some seeds. I'm here to grow. I'm here to elevate. I'm here to create. And I'm here to connect as well. And I made some amazing friends. I met some amazing actors, wonderful people who I'm still very cool with and still connect with and still support. But yeah, it was life-changing for me because I was just like, yeah, this is what it should feel like, whether it be a project or whether it be class. Like, the work is being put in. And what they say at the school is the work is the work is the work. And that's real. It's like, it is what it is. The work is the work is the work. So yeah, I was like, I really rock with this school and I support this school to this day. Still very close with the principal, and, you know, I support what they're doing and how it at least made me feel. You know, I can't speak for everybody else, but I really did appreciate that school.
Right. What is the change that you wish to see in the industry within your work?
The change that I wish to see in the industry through me and my work.
Okay.
I wish to see just authenticity. Tell the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
Be the artist that you dreamed of being. Don't worry about what people are looking for. Don't worry about the stories people might want to see. I know I can speak for myself when I say I have ideas and I'm like, nobody would care about that. But it's not about that.
Right.
It's not about that. Because most of the time, the story that you want to tell, no matter how crazy, no matter how sad, no matter how dramatic, people can identify. People universally can connect. And that's like, I just want to continue to push that. Like, do what you want to do. You know, because then it's always something it's always someone or something for everybody.
Right.
So it's kind of like, that's how I want to move. I want to do projects that make me happy. I want to do projects that people look back and be like, every role that she's done,
Right.
I believed her. Every role that she's done, she's attacked.
Right.
Every role that she's done has moved me, you know. So that's what I want. I want the things that I do to radiate truth, authenticity, and to just make people feel things and to inspire them to do what it is they want to do and be who they say that they are and they know that they are.
100%. Being the lead, right, of a TV series, what are some things that were required of you that you may not have expected?
I would say patience.
Right.
I feel like just in our industry alone, a lot of times people forget that we are people. No matter how A-list, B-list, whatever, you know, there's always someone who's going to know you. There's someone who watches your stuff. There's someone who supports you. And a lot of times we don't really think about where people are mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because we're so excited. Like if Rihanna walks in this room right now, interview's done. I'm about to, what? But truthfully, okay. But
I don't have a record.
But to my point to that, it's just like we're human.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like at the end of the day, we have good days, bad days, and sometimes you just have to be patient. Sometimes you're not gonna want to be on, but you have to be. For at least for me, speaking for myself, because there were days where I just didn't feel like getting out of bed. But that does not mean that every single person that did not deserve respect,
Right.
deserve care, did not deserve love, laughter, because I would not be here without you. You would not be here without me. Therefore, the point is we got to get this done. So it's kind of like crazy to me when people don't think about how considerate you actually have to be. You ain't got to be everyone's friend, but you got to be considerate of people's time.
Right.
People are away from their families. People are away from their friends. People are away from their own mental health and their own healing and whatever it is they have to do so that you can look good and so that you can do what you need to do. You know what I mean? So I always went with that mindset of like, I'm here for so many more people than just myself.
Right.
And, you know, there is a selflessness that I believe artists should have. Not everyone. I agree. But there is a selflessness that I believe artists should have. And no shade, we are selfless anytime that we are just like pouring into what we're doing. It's very selfless. But it can also be selfish as well, depending on how we navigate when it comes to other people and the people that are helping us. And I chose, again, can't speak for everyone, but I chose to come 100% every single time. In the times that I had to myself, then I could pour out and cry and do whatever. But like when I'm in front of those people, that's not their burden to bear at all. You leave that shit in your trailer, or you leave that shit at home, or you leave that shit in your car. You know what I mean? But I feel like the second you step through a door, once you decided I'm going to come today, I'm going to show up. It's that simple. Then you can go home and do that. But yeah, for me, it was like 100% every time, or I don't deserve to be here. But that's just me. I can't speak for every other actor or performer. And everyone's situation is different, you know? Everyone's life, everyone's lifestyle is different. So that might not resonate. But for Jeff, it was that. Because I could do that.
So what does transitioning passions or balancing passions look like for the next 10 years? Because as I already know, look, I've even been a part of some of your test ideas and short films and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You're a producer, you're a writer, you can sing, you can do a lot of things, right? So do you feel like you will always prioritize being in front of the camera, or do you feel like eventually you gotta take a transition or do both?
You know, that's actually funny because this year I've really honored speaking life into the fact that I do write. A lot of people don't know that, and I write very well. A lot of people don't. Thank you. A lot of people don't know that, but it's kind of like people won't know unless you share, unless you give. And so I'm in that space of giving now, to where I'm going to give all my talents. And I don't think that I'll ever step away from being on camera, but I do think that I am gonna not shift the priority necessarily, but I think I'm gonna put some eggs in some different baskets now because I can. And it's kind of just like they say the jack of all trades, master of none, but I really don't believe that. I don't believe in that at all. But I do believe if you have a certain percentage in certain things, then of course it's going to take away from other things. But I think that there is a balance to that. And I'm being transparent when I say I'm open to it. And I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, what that feels like. But I think that, you know, considering the circumstances now, it's allowing me to think 5 years, 10 years, like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And I'm excited for it because, to be honest, I might have it figured out. I might, you know, have an idea, but I don't know what that's going to look like. And it's exciting. But I have a spiritual plan, you know. I know what I want, and God knows what I want. And it's just a matter of, like, how I'm going to go about doing that. So, yeah, I want to do everything that I feel is inside of me. Like, I must. Like, I can't have it any other way, only because God wouldn't put it in me if it wasn't supposed to be given, you know? And it's not fair. It's like, you can't have all these talents. That's speaking for y'all as well, all of us. We can't have things that we are capable of doing and just not do it. That's kind of crazy, you know? If you're able to do it. Because some things people are not able to do. But if you're able to write, if you're able to produce, if you're able to create, like how you guys are creating your own platform, why would you not do that? You know? And you can't let fear be the reason why you're not doing it.
Absolutely not.
You know?
Not these days.
What is that?
But that was me. Like last year, that was me. People don't want to do what I have to say. People don't care about what I want to do. Like, people don't care about my talent. But it's like, that's not true yet. People actually do give a fuck about what you're doing, and they want to know. They want to see you, you know? So it's just like, that's kind of the space that I'm in now. It's just like, what does that look like for me? How does it look? What does that feel like? And I'll see as I continue to be like, this is what I can do, and see what happens after that.
Jeff, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for pulling up today.
Down here.
That's the bottom of the heart.
El corazón. El corazón.
Nah, yo, you came and you delivered an amazing perspective on navigating the entertainment industry from 7 years old to adulthood, from telling your mom you wanted to be an actress to being on billboards and bus stops and buses all over the United States, right? Like, and I don't know, it might be international. I don't know, you would probably know that more than me. I ain't been to London. But I just want to super duper say I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. And I'm ecstatic about what's going to happen next. Because like you said, God knows what you want, and he's clearly proven that he's going to give you whatever your heart desires.
Yeah.
So,
My turn.
salute to you.
G, I'm going to keep it light because you already know what it is. I'm super proud of you. Keep putting on LA, keep putting on Clark Atlanta Panthers, and keep putting on creators around the world.
Thank you.
Boom.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by Past Podcast. We appreciate you. Thank you
Super
so
duper.
much. This was dope. Thank you. Yes. All right, so I guess we'll see y'all next time.
Yeah.
Peace.